Hey there, I'm Caden Rains, and welcome to my basement. Today we are continuing Anime July with the Revoltech Amazing Yamaguchi Harley Quinn Suicide Squad Isekai version. As usual, there is a mouthful with some of these, and yeah, I have to say, I really only watched the Isekai anime, the Suicide Squad Isekai anime, because I liked Harley Quinn's design in it, and that is still probably the best part about it. It's not like the worst anime of all times or anything, but it was different, and I don't know, it was just it was a thing. It was definitely written around the time that Multiverses was being prepped, because a lot of lines are referencing other WB things, and some of the decisions with the series were probably more corporate than anything. But I liked this design. It kind of mirrors a design of the final character I'm going to do for Anime July. That's foreshadowing, I guess. But yeah, so I wanted this figure. I saved up, did the commission thing, all that kind of jazz, and now I've got her. So let's take her out of the box and see all of her accessories and stuff, and then figure out a place to put her. So here's the Harley Quinn figure out of the box. As you can see, it does come with a stand, and it pretty much needs the stand if you want her to stand. That's an unfortunate discovery, but we'll see in a minute as we go over her different articulation points that the way her feet are set up, it's pretty difficult to get her standing and her weight distributed evenly as is. Now, if you're going to have her sitting or leaning against something, then you can probably make her work without the stand. But if you want her to be just standing up and without something to help her stay up, you're going to need something like this stand. Moving beyond that, though, let's take a look at her. And while we do have a anime style look that is definitely inspired by the Snyderverse version of Harley that became what a lot of people think of as Harley, and if you like that, cool, but it also harkens back to her original design from the 90s cartoon, with the black and red outfit, and the jacket has a hood. You can't really put it up because it's flat on her design. It does have an articulation point though, so you can act like she's going through the air or something. But it is basically her old mask, but in hood form, so that's something. Beyond that, she's got a pretty good amount of articulated bits, double shoulder, elbow is a full ball, and then the wrists, and they feel much more stable, or maybe stable is not the right word. They feel more solid than like the Ryuko bit from last week, where those wrists, we actually did watch them fall off as I was maneuvering them. These don't seem like that's going to happen. So that her arms are good like that. Again, the way that a lot of the anime style figures who have this double joint with their shoulders, I don't always love that, but it's one of those things that I just really don't notice unless I'm really looking at the figure. Like the last two we looked at had it, and until I had them up close, I didn't really notice anything about it. So once they're posed, it's not really that big a deal. We've got the neck and head are both fine, and the head can swivel at the top of her neck, but then the neck at the base has its own joint for some extra posability, which is nice. And then the legs, we got double knee, the waist, and then the ankle. no two ankles like with the last one, but it does have the toe bit with the boot, the same as the last one, and unlike the last one, both toes seem to work. So that's nice. So as far as posability goes, you will be able to do a lot with this figure. You know, I just opened her, so it's still getting possibilities of what all she's got going for her. But yeah, you can make her move in it, or pose her in a lot of different ways, and you know, it's, and all of the joints seem pretty solid, so I don't expect A, the parts to just fall off on their own, or B, for any of them to get loose really quickly and start to droop on their own. So there's a little bit of tension when if I just tap it. I have to put some force behind it to actually get some of her positions to change. Her legs are a little easier to move than her arms, and it's probably because of the way her jacket's made. But even then, it's not like I'm seeing them move on their own just from gravity or anything like that. Now, when I try to just stand her up without messing with her too much, that's when gravity starts to come into play. And it's mostly because of the way her shoes are set up. I think you can get her to the point where she'll stand without the stand, but I think that's going to take some finagling because her heels are angled in such a way that you have to have her legs angled forward for them to be flat, and even then, it's not perfect. So that could have been designed better. I would have even taken the heels not being able to move as much, because it really seems like the issue with her feet comes down to the fact that her heels aren't level with her toes, the toes of her boots. And the way you can angle the toes doesn't help that. So yeah, that's an issue. This figure almost seems like it's designed for you not just to have her standing somewhere, because she will not. Yeah, she just won't. But so that there's my, I guess what's probably going to be my major complaint is that you really can't stand her on her own. And you know, we've looked at figures that you can't do that before, like a lot of Nindoroids. You can't do that with. Some you can make work, a lot you can't. But most, like the Ryuko figure, the Miko figure, both of those stood on their own. And most of the other action figures that are about this scale have been able to stand on their own. So getting this one and not being able to stand her without the stand is not a selling point, IMO. But now that we've looked at her and how she moves, let's look at her accessories. We've got a couple. Most of them are body parts. She's really only got what I'd call 3 actual accessories. The way I think of them, I always think of them as like the things a character holds or maybe wears, but I know accessories are any parts that you switch out to a degree. So let's look at what she's got and see how that holds up. All right. So the first thing we're going to do as far as her accessories goes are her 5 alternate faces. And I think there was even a 6th if you pre-ordered it from a certain place, but I took a while to pull the trigger on this to make sure I was in a good position with it. So we've got her kind of calm, just regular face. Then there's this one that I guess is a little more psychotic or angry. I mean, I think you could use the psychotic term for a lot of faces in this. The anime puts her and Joker and some of the other villains in a more mature-ish light, mostly with what they do in the real world. But I mean, there's a lot of death in that anime. It's not really gory or whatever, but like at one point the Joker causes 2 gangs to shoot each other up in a flashback. So, you know, whatever. A lot of psychosis. So there's her angry-ish grinning face. We've got a more larger grin, which, you know, I don't know if I'd be so happy to see that coming at me. But it's, you know, it's just kind of more exaggerated smile. There's a scared or worried face. It's even got some sweat drops, which is interesting. You don't see that, or at least I haven't seen that as much on too many figures. There's another sort of calm one, but where she's looking off to the side. I maybe think of that as contemplative or something. And then there's this winking face. So, and they're not all drastically different from each other. It's mostly the eyes and the face, or eyes in the face, the eyes and the mouth. Like her ears aren't doing anything different, and the rest, and like her eyebrows are just painted on. But it is a nice variety. And the way you change those out is, again, sort of like what we saw with the Ryuko figure. You pop the hair out, and then you pop the face off. And then there's a nib, or whatever you want to call it, that you slide the face onto. Isn't that kind of cursed looking? Look at that way that face is, or the headless head is. It's just hair on the neck. So anyway, you just slide the face on, and then there's also an alternate hair that looks almost exactly the same. The only difference is this little indentation that the alternate one has on both sides. And the reason for that, we can see after we put it on, is that her next accessory is a pair of sunglasses. And when you're using the hair that has the indent, you can just slide those right on. At least you're supposed to. There we go. So those were, as long as you've got the right hair on, you can put those sunglasses on any of her faces. It sticks out. Oh, well, that's because the hair wasn't all the way on. Let me figure that out. All right, yeah, the secondary hair didn't want to go on right away, but I applied some more force, and there we go. So, yeah, you can have those sunglasses with any of her expressions, and, you know, have her be wearing sunglasses, and something fell off. Cool. So that is, you know, it's a neat little feature. I don't know if I'll keep it in the long run, but it's not a bad accessory. I kind of think you could have just had the one hair. I know that this tiny little hair piece wouldn't have changed much in the pricing, but it's something I've been considering as I look at figures recently, is what could they have done to put it at a more appreciable price point. And in this case, one of the things would have been, and this is probably one of the only things other than reworking the boots, is that just have the one hair piece with the indent. You can, unless you're looking for it, it is almost impossible to see. So that's a mild issue, I guess. Next up, we've got her alternate hands. So, like we've seen in other figures, she's basically got the same set of hands for both sides, for left and right. Red for her left, black for her right. So she's got 6 other pairs, bringing a total of 14 hands, which is nice. Because it should be like that. Anyway, so that's cool. I don't know about these hand holders. I like the other ones we looked at last week a little better. These take up less space, but because they're thinner, but the others seem latched together and just seem more impressive. So our options are, first we've got her gun hands, and we'll look at why she's got gun hands in a second. Next is going to be her gripping hand for something a little tighter. We've got a finger gun and then a thumbs up for her third set. Next, we have basically 3 sets of open hands. We've got like her clawed, like, oh, get you, gadget kind of hands. A pseudo peace sign hand. It's not really, it's more like that, but it's sort of like a gesture, and then just a almost completely open hand, like she's about to grab for something. And like most of the other figures we've looked at, you basically just pop the hands off, apply some force, and they slide off. And then we just slide the new one on if it wants to, work the way it's supposed to. Sometimes when you've got these joints, well, part of the problem is this one's a kind of the hand, the part you put it in is kind of at an angle. Sometimes when they've got the ball and socket joints, they just want to go whatever direction they want to when you're trying to put the next hand on. But life's gonna life like that. So that's a gun hand, and then we'll also put her other hand on, and it similarly is at an angle. And most of them are just straight wrists, the way the first two were. These two hands in particular aren't, so that you can get a slightly different look with her other pose, her other accessories, those being her bat and her gun. And interestingly, they included the blue gem in it, which comes in later in the series. It's not actually like, it is important, but it's not that big a plot point in the grand scheme of things. But at least as much importance they put on it. But yeah, so these are, besides the sunglasses, these are what I would consider her main accessories. And the reason I grabbed these two hands is because they are primarily involved with these accessories. So let me put them in, and we'll take a look at that. So here's Harley with her gun and bat. The gun slides in really easily, and you can just twist it to get her finger in the trigger. Because the wrist opening or peg hole is at an angle, she's always going to be shooting down a little bit, which I kind of get why they did that, but I'd rather have it go in straight into the wrist the way the other hands work. But it's not that big a deal. The bat hand works very similarly, where it's at that angle, and it's so she can hold it at that angle for, I guess, a more cinematic look. It's okay. Again, I probably would have just been fine if it wasn't at an angle, but whatever. Interesting note about her bat that I didn't mention before, though, is that to get around the hand being a solid piece, more or less, with really just a small hole for it to go through, you don't have to fight with the hand, like to shove the bat through. It actually comes apart, and then you just slide the pieces together in her hand. And I think that is a really good idea. That if other toy companies want to take anything away from this one, it's that, I didn't really shove this together right, but it's that if you're going to have a hand that's really tight on an accessory, then just make the accessory two pieces. Especially if it's like, I don't know if iconic's the right word for her bat, but if it really fits the character and it's important, take out some other little thing and give a bat that's not going to ruin the hand that it's going into, or whatever accessory it is. So I think that's really good the way that bat works. It's not perfect, like you can see it, I haven't shoved it all the way back together, and it's because the peg from the bottom side to the top is shaped a little oddly, and so it's probably for like friction reasons. So it's not like a circle. It's sort of a semicircle, but it's not even quite that. I don't know how well it's coming through. But because of that, if you don't angle it right, it won't go all the way down. So it's like I said, it's not perfect. It's pretty good. Like, I really commend them for that. Now, it does mean that I would worry about, I don't know, roughhousing with it. Now, again, I don't really play with toys once I put them together or put them in their spot. But it's a little thing I wish I didn't have to think about, but if I have to think about that over possibly breaking a toy like it's the figure's hand, then I'd rather think about lining up the two pieces than possibly breaking something I paid money for. So on the whole, it's still definitely a positive. So that is the Harley Quinn Isekai Revoltech Amazing Yamaguchi figure. I do like this. It was expensive. It was like $70, and again, I heed and hawed about whether I was gonna do it for a while, and then I took steps like with the Ryuko figure and others, where I was like, I can afford this if I do this, and I was like, I really like the way this character looks, and aside from like the Sunset collection and a few here and there, I really don't have that many girl/women characters in my setup. Like on my second shelf, I think I have 3. Yeah, Princess Peach, Evil Gwenpool, and Snake Tila. Oh, there's a Rusty Rose, so 4 whole girls on the middle shelf. Whereas like in the sewer layer, it's about the same. I think at this point we're up to 6 now. 2, 5. Okay, yeah, 7. So Ryuko, April. Oh, Pomni. I forgot Pomni. Pomni, Lisa, Kim, Ramona, Miku, and Marge. So 7. Oh, and Knives. So 8. Okay. So Harley. Yeah, Harley's not going to the party for now. She might eventually get there, but she would only be the 9th character on that sewer, and will only be the 5th on the second set of shelves where she is going to go today. But anyway, I'm getting off topic, as I do. So I think overall it's a pretty good figure. Now that I've gone through her different faces and hands and accessories, find a place for her on the shelf and see how she looks. All right? All right. And here is where Harley has landed herself for now. Since she's from an isekai, I thought I'd put her in one of the more fantastical settings. We've got the castle and whatnot. Plus, she does make friends with a dragon. So, and Bowser's a dragon turtle, so we're going to go with that. As she gives Peach the thumbs up for landing the right man, I guess. She'd probably be a Bowser fan over Mario, since Mario's the hero anyway. And this Harley Quinn is specifically still a villain. Like her goal through the series is still to get with the Joker, Mr. J, Pudding, and all that. So I'm pretty fine having her be in this section of the shelving with the other villainous characters. They're not all villains, but some of them are just a little misguided in one way or the other. And that seems like a good place for her. So let me know down below if you have this Revoltech figure of Harley Quinn from the Isekai, if you considered getting it, or now that you've seen the way she can pose and what she comes with, if you're kind of glad that you did or didn't. I love hearing what you guys have to say and think on the matter, but either way, I hope you had a good time in my basement, and I'll see you in the next one.